Hey guys, welcome back to Scaling Beautifully, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on what it really takes to grow a thriving beauty business. I'm Haley, a corrective skin specialist and spa owner who's in the trenches every day with clients.
Hey, and I'm Adriana, a tax strategist who specializes in beauty businesses, helping pros like you master the money, tax, and legal side of growth. Together, we'll tackle the small, unglamorous task and build a strong foundation so you can stop hustling in circles and start scaling beautifully. Think of this as a resource for what happens after your client or customer leaves. Today's episode is for my beginners, my rebuilders, or just honestly anyone who's been in business but feels confused about pricing or, their service menu, also like marketing, right? So there's no shame in that, but most people start their business with vibes and a dream, not a financial plan. So today we're going to be breaking down what to charge, how to build a service menu that actually makes you money, and the marketing basics you need so clients can actually find you. So let's get into it. Oh, before we start, we didn't do for the last episode
Oh, our
and
wins and fails. I
yes,
had
and I
such
was
good ones.
no, and I was thinking about it. So whenever we started, I mean, you were just on it like in the episode, and I was like, I'm gonna tell her, I'm gonna say it at the end, I'm gonna say it at the end, and I completely
Shoot, I
forgot
forgot.
until right now. Yeah.
We'll have to do
Um,
it in Patreon too, just because we kind of forget sometimes. Yeah, the last episode, I'm very passionate about Black Friday. I feel like I'm a Black Friday queen strategist. I have it down to a science almost, and it gets better and better every year. So I'm super excited to talk about it. This topic too, but also too, I kind of wanted to say disclaimer. I don't like on other not even service provider podcasts, but podcasts in general, people will make comments and they'll be like, I think estheticians should do whatever they want. And I want to just say that we are going to be talking about pricing yourself and paying yourself. This is all suggestion based, but again, please remember we are not trying to virtually correct your business for you. We're trying to give you the foundation and give you the tools so that you can expand from there and get your business scaling in the direction that you want to see. So we're just trying to get your wheels turning. We're not telling you that you have to do these exact things that we're going to talk about. We're just here being some positive reinforcement for what we know works, even though it may feel very scary.
Right. Right. And at the end of the day, it is your business and you make the decisions that you want. But Haley definitely has experience and she's very successful in her business. And I work with a lot of beauty businesses and I see also what they have implemented and I see what works and what doesn't work on the financial side. So we're here to just have conversations.
Yes, I know we're talking about paying ourselves or properly pricing yourself to pay yourself, but in Patreon, note to us, I really want to talk about if you're going to be a business owner and you're ready to be a business owner, what else does allocating your money look like? Like, where else should you be budgeting for taxes and things like that? I
Mhm.
really want to break that down because this is a really important topic because I see it a lot on esthetician support Facebook pages and just doing mentoring calls myself where people reach out to me for some one-on-one calls to kind of go over and plan in their business and me kind of pinpoint some issues I see that they could work on fixing. There is no planning with the money that comes in. They don't even realize where things need to be allocated to and how important that is because all of that should be included into how you price yourself. So I want to make sure we cover that too, maybe in Patreon, because that is really, really in depth and give them like a full list breakdown of where all those things go. Because you have to pay those things. If you want to be a business owner and not just an employee, that is part of the deal. So I want to make sure everybody has a good resource to refer back to there. So we could talk about that on Patreon because I know this topic is very scary. A lot of people are going to be like, I don't want to raise my prices. I don't want to outprice myself. I don't want to outprice my clients. But when you know all these other things that you need to be regularly saving for and paying into or whatever it may be, it changes your mindset on understanding what the pricing should be and what clientele you should be trying to market to in order to achieve gaining clientele that's comfortable paying that price. This is a
Right.
very scary episode for a lot of people listening. I know.
It's because when we start, right, when we start our business, we're not really just thinking of honestly like the cost, I feel like. And I may be wrong. I say we, right, because I want to include myself. I know I remember whenever I started my business, actually did include my cost, but I did not include the cost for when I grew or like when I scaled.
Yes. I was going to say the
You,
cost of growth because growing
yes,
costs money.
it does. So that's something that I never really considered when first starting out. So that's something that I want to mention and say because um especially whenever it comes to pricing, I don't want you to just like pick a number out of thin air and say this is what I'm going to charge for my services. I'm going to work on a calculator to where it's going to kind of calculate like your return of investment in a sense. So you could put like how much you charge and then from there um I'm like just my wheels are kind of turning right now to where we could put how much it actually costs. Like you could put all of your costs down, all of your expenses, because we need to think about like your website. We need to think about if you pay somebody for marketing, or if you guys do ads. Like all of that is part of like your operating expenses to where you need to calculate when coming up with an actual price for your services because you want to profit. I recently did a coaching call and we really broke down like my services. And I mean, like, I feel like everybody, no matter where you are in business, if you're making $50,000 or $100,000 or $100 million, like you're going to need a business coach, right? So I actually had a business coaching call and we really broke down my numbers. And this year I had more expenses because I ended up hiring, more people and I upgraded my systems and all of that stuff. So I really needed to take a look at my profit margin for each one of my services. And that's also including my time, right? So just because you charge $120 doesn't mean that you make $120 an hour. Right. Because you need to factor in all of your operating expenses. And then your profit is pretty much what you make an hour. But we're going to talk about all of that. But before we do, let's talk about our wins and our losses or our wins and fails
Yeah,
before we
our
forget.
wins and fails. We forgot on the
Yeah.
last, so maybe we can do two. I feel
Okay.
like my win and my fail kind of go together. My first one. So I had a really great Black Friday. However, there were some hiccups that have not been my favorite that we've talked about on Patreon in a past episode and how I'm gonna overcome those next year. Because I mean, that's going to happen. I feel like a lot of people too from social media, you see a service provider like me who has, I don't know, like 16,000, almost 17,000 followers, and I'm consistently booked all the time, and I'm doing all these treatments, and I have a slightly higher elevated price point for my services. And people just think, oh, like that, nothing ever goes wrong for them. They got to figure it out. Everything's so perfect. And I'm like, no, there's definitely still issues in business and things like trials and tribulations. And like Black Friday is always one of them. You get an influx of customers, new customers who are not clients that you have no experience with. And it's like the craziest time of year, the holiday season. Everybody's running on stress. It feels super rushed because there's only 3 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So people feel comfortable being super rude and out of pocket and not realizing that, like, you're just a real person running the business and you're putting in so much time and hard work, but it's not being noticed or appreciated because they're just a shopper online. They have no emotional connection to you. They don't give a shit. And so, like, that's really hard to navigate sometimes in business. What's my second one? I feel like I needed two, but I was only prepared for one. I got my hair done today, so that's a win.
Yes, it looks good.
Um, I always
It looks
contemplate
healthy.
growing it out or doing a bob, and I'm always just gonna do a bob. I'm like, I feel like such a mom with my little bob.
I love
And
it. It looks good though.
yeah, it somebody called me out too because I had little twists in my hair yesterday on Instagram talking, but my roots are blonde because redheads don't go gray. We go blonde first. We like lose all of our vibrancy and then we just go like pure white. And so it's called blonding. That process has already started for me and my hair grows really fast. So I'll have like an inch of new growth in just 6 weeks. And so when my hair is dirty and I have it like braided or twisted, it kind of looks like I'm like lacking hair, on the sides. But it's just because you could see that root. It's pale like my scalp. So somebody was like, you should try a hairstyle that doesn't put so much tension on your thinning hair. And I'm like, it's not thinning. I have a lot of it. I was like, my roots are just long and blonde. But I was like, okay, I'm very Very humbled. I will say too, just to be super transparent about a fail, I had to fire 3 clients last week, which was not my favorite. However, it has to be done in business sometimes, and they were all the same thing, just last minute canceling, pre-booking really far in advance, like 60 to 90 days, and canceling 2 days before consecutively over and over again. And not that it's not for good reason, but it was definitely for reasons where they could have given me more notice. Like they knew they were out of state and they knew they would not be coming back. Instead, they just waited for that cancellation period to expire to let me know instead of just telling me earlier in the week. Somebody was a new client, it was the same thing. And somebody else, it was the third time in a row within 6 weeks. They've canceled 3 times in 6 weeks,
Crazy.
letting me know past the cancellation period. Sophie was involved. So I'm just like, unfortunately, like we're not going to be able to continue this because you're making me have to nearly panic to try to fill this spot last minute. They were all Saturday appointments too, Friday evening or Saturday appointments. And those are not easy to fill last minute because people already have plans. I was only able to fill one of the spots, which is kind of a fail. You're not always going to be able to fill them all, even if you have a wait list like I do. I never like to fire a client, but sometimes I have to.
No, I get
So it
it.
feels like a fail, but like moving in a good direction, making
Yeah.
space for like a better
And,
clientele who appreciates and respects my time.
and that's exactly what I was going to say. So I actually had a similar, I also fired technically. I'm just like technically fired a client last week too. So we were actually working for a very long time together. I'm just which in retrospect, it's a little crazy, but there was a lot of things behind the scenes, not her fault or anything that has happened, or not my fault either. But it's just like a lot of they were like a partnership. The partnership dissolved. I stayed working with one person that wasn't the original person that originally kind of started working with. And, so it was like a big adjustment and things like that. There wasn't a lot of communication between us, to be honest with you. Constantly late. I would always, because I would do their sales tax, like that was part included in the fee. And I would reach out, nothing. Like I think there was five quarterly sales taxes that we missed because I couldn't get the information that I needed from her. And she would just never respond at all until she would receive a notice. Also, we couldn't get her we were reaching out to get her bank account synced on QuickBooks. And, it just took us a very long time. But, we overcame those situations. But then we talked over the phone last week, and I had did her taxes, her income taxes. Um, and I charged separately for tax prep services. And she's just like, well, what am I paying you a month for? She kind of made it seem like a big thing that she's paying me for monthly bookkeeping. And then for tax prep, it's a different service. So of course I'm going to charge her. It's a whole different service
Yeah.
that's not included in our package or anything. It's not like she wasn't happy, but you could tell she wasn't happy. She was very respectful and everything, but we just kind of came to the conclusion together. I'm just like, look, because she's like, well, then what am I paying you for? And I was like, dude, for everything, for all the bookkeeping, sales taxes, and everything else that we're doing, because she wasn't taking advantage of our calls, or, just the communication wasn't there, like I mentioned. So I get to where I understand her, to where she felt like, what the hell am I paying for? Right. Because again, we didn't meet or anything like that. But again, it's on her because I'm not chasing clients to meet with me. And then also, since we were catching up on her sales tax report, since it was late, there was a large penalty. Yeah. There was 5 reports that were late. So,
Oh shit.
there's a penalty. Yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
that's like
you can't,
upwards of
yeah.
$300.
No, yeah. And I was like, okay, I have emails and text messages to prove that I have been trying to reach out to you, so it's not falling
Yeah.
back on me. But so there were so many things that she had to pay for that day, which I get and I understood. But then I'm just like, okay, either way, this isn't a relationship or a client that I truly want to continue working with, because I get stressed out. Like if your bank account isn't synced and then I'm charging you, but I haven't done your bookkeeping, I get stressed out because I feel oh my gosh, I can't get this work done, right? And I'm like, and you're charging me. But then I know I also need to get out of that mindset because I've done everything I can and I communicated. it's up to them to go in and log in and like resync their account and all of that stuff, right? Anyways, I'm done with my little venting session.
I want people to know that like
Yeah.
these things happen to us too.
Yeah, so my win, honestly, I would say like Thanksgiving. It was a really good Thanksgiving. I slaved the day cooking. I made like turkey, ham, baked mac and cheese, rice. I do like a Puerto Rican rice called arroz con candules, and I did cream corn. And but like my family came, it was fun. Like I spent it with my little new baby nephew, and I was like holding him the whole time. And then his mom, like my sister-in-law, she would like come around. I was like, girl, you could go do your own thing. I'm just like, I'm
Yeah,
so
have a
happy
good
here
day.
cuddling with the baby. Yeah. So I'm just like, that was a win. Just, family time. Cause I feel like I always get energized just whenever I spend it with family. It was a good time. Also for Black Friday, I bought a new stove, which I'm so happy. I'm
Yes.
just like, we're adults when we're
When
excited
you're in
about
your
appliances.
30s, yeah, when you're in your 30s, you appreciate the home appliances.
Yes, I bought a double oven, so I'm so excited.
That's
And
huge.
yeah, I'm just like, oh, I'm excited. So, but yeah, but that's
We
it.
had
Those are my
we had to
wins
get
and my
all
losses.
new
Yeah.
appliances last year in our house when we bought it, just because the ones the house came
Mhm.
with were like not
Yeah.
great. They were not good at all. They were not usable almost. And yeah, every time I walk into my kitchen with all my new fridge, my new dishwasher, my new microwave, my new oven, I'm always like, I'm such an
Yeah.
adult.
No, seriously. So when we moved, because I think you and I, we moved into our new homes around the same
Yeah,
time. So
yes, you.
all the appliances came with the house when or since has been with the house since it's been built, right? And my house isn't like brand new. I think it's like 2014. So a little
I think
over like
mine too.
yeah, so it's like a 10-year, like they're 10 years at least, right, from when we bought the house. And well, we had a new fridge that we had just bought. So we had a new fridge and a new dishwasher. And then the microwave and the oven were the only ones that stayed. And my oven gave out like 3 times during Thanksgiving. So I immediately told Josh, my husband, I'm just like, we have to get a new stove. And I'm just like, I
Yeah,
want one that's like double oven because I cook a lot and like we like baking and stuff. So I was like, I would need one that's like double oven. And we found one at a really great price. So and we bought a new microwave to match it. So
that's what we
I'm
did. Yeah.
excited. Yeah,
Because they go
yeah.
above each other. I feel like such an adult. Don't get me wrong, it was a huge like investment and I was
Investment. Yeah.
stressed with that purchase. But the people we bought our home from just did not take care of the house and it looked like something was going to crawl out of the oven and the dishwasher. It was not even like cleanable. We had a professional company come clean and they were like, no, like
This
this,
is the best
there's
we could
nothing
do.
we can do. Yeah. But I wanted to say with sharing our fails, I want to normalize like the hiccups in business. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be seamless. Obviously, these are not things I'm going to talk about on social media because for
Mhm.
me, we're going to talk about marketing today. For me, I only market to my clients. I am not on the Freckled Esthetician to talk to business owners, to talk to estheticians. That's what I have Scaling Beautifully for. I want mine separated. So these are not things I'm going to talk about over there. So I want to talk about them here. But I wanted to add every time I have a fail in business, I sit down and I think, how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? And sometimes, because I did with some of these people. So, like one of the girls, when she had a history of canceling, she was pre booked out for the following month. I let her know right then and there if do you still want to keep December? She said yes. And I said, okay, as we get closer to that appointment, if you're not able to come for any reason, please try to give me at least a 5 day notice because you're coming on a Friday evening. I understand the policy is 48 hours, but it is near impossible for me to remedy that time because people have plans Friday evening. They want to go out, they have events on Saturday, they can't have downtime, whatever. Please try to give me a little bit more notice so that I'm not scrambling or hindered. She didn't even respond to me. At that point, I should have known that this is not a client that values my time or respects me. And I reached out. So then December came. I reached out to her that Monday. She's Friday evening. And I was like, hey, you're not confirmed yet online. So I'm just reaching out personally. Like, this is me. This is not automation. Please let me know by the end of the day if you're not able to make it or if you're not planning on coming so that I can reach out to my wait list and give them enough time to plan. No response. At that point, I should have said, if I do not hear back from you at the end of the day, I will be canceling the appointment. I should have just had much. I know now moving forward, if you don't respond to me the first time and then I wait 30 days and I have to reach out to you the week of, I need to just say in there, have a very clear expectation and boundary. Hey, you're not confirmed. So if I don't hear back from you by the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead and cancel this appointment. Please let me know if you're wanting to keep it. I do have a wait list going and I want to be able to give everybody enough time to properly plan for their appointment. So, like with how you were saying too, and I did like one of the girls too that canceled 3 times in 6 weeks. I had let her know the second time, like, hey, if you're not able to come for whatever reason to this third appointment, we're not going to be able to book future appointments. I did the same thing with the third girl because she has been out of state for like a couple months. And every time she wanted to keep that following appointment, I could have probably reached out to her Monday and said, hey, you're not confirmed, because she also was not confirmed. You're not confirmed. Like, let me know by the end of the day. If not, I'm going to just go ahead and remove it so that I can give everybody enough time to plan for whoever is going to remedy that time. So, like, there's always something that you could do more. But again, too, if I did all those things and they didn't reply, there's not much more I can do. But think of that thought process. And then, like you, how you said, I'm not going to chase clients. Maybe just having like clear, like in some of the reminder emails, because you're
Expectations.
really
Yeah.
good about sending those.
Mhm.
Put that expectation in there, like, hey, we haven't heard from you, or maybe just do one directly to her. Like, we haven't heard from you in 5 months, or I pay my sales tax monthly. Maybe she doesn't. She pays quarterly or
Mhm.
something. Well, we
Quarterly.
haven't heard from you in the past 3 quarters. And so it's getting really hard for me to hold up my end of the deal. So if we can't get something scheduled and figured out, we're going to have to discontinue your services after this month, and you're going to need to reach out to another professional to do a cleanup.
Right.
That's not unprofessional or rude, like you're, because I would be stressed about that too, because she could technically say there were no services rendered, and
Right.
that's really hard
Exactly.
to you, even though you're doing everything properly. So you just want to protect yourself as well. And there's nothing wrong with having strong boundaries in business. I'm somebody who has very strong boundaries, and it's only a turn off to those who don't respect them.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah. No,
Let me
and
know that
coming
up
the new
front.
year, like even the way that I'm onboarding new bookkeeping clients is going to be like a lot different. And just because I feel like I've always been very clear with my expectations, but I'm just like, I'm just going to do one like additional thing. And because we do send monthly, like, and I have it now to where like my admin is reaching out to the clients that we haven't heard from on a weekly basis now.
I'm like one
So,
of them sometimes. Every time I get it, I'm like, oh, I'm so ashamed.
yeah, no, but it's
Because
like
I haven't
it's
been
like on
on
a
top
weekly.
of like
Yeah.
keeping up
No,
with
and
my end.
no, and I tell my like client like you, Haley, like I feel like you and I we communicate. So I know you're gonna be on top. Like once we meet like personally for like your bookkeeping meeting, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get her statements then. We're gonna clear out the uncategorized then,
Yeah.
like it's gonna get
Because I
done.
have to get with Jessica too. I'm like, Jessica, what the fuck is this? And she'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And then I'm like, well, shoot, now I'm busy with clients, so I need to tell her.
Yeah. No, right, but it works out and it's fine, but, like, I have clients where, like, legit, they don't book any meetings, I text them, nothing, we email them, nothing, we write them through the client portal, nothing, like, there's so many ways to communicate with us and, like, the way that I could
Yeah,
communicate with you guys, so that's something that we are implementing too, what you said, like, after a certain amount of months that I don't hear from you, then we will be
just
discontinuing
hear me.
services. Yeah.
If y'all have failed in business, sit down and think about how you can prevent that from happening again. Don't let it just defeat you and
Mhm.
cry and bend. Act like don't and not change anything.
No.
It's just going to happen. Like,
Right.
I just think in skin terms. So I'm like, we're always rejuvenating our business.
No, but we are. You have to be good with change too, because things worked so well for such a long time until they didn't. And I had to like pivot and change, right? Change is going to be constant as a business owner.
We should have people leave their fails and then we can read them and kind of say like what we think you could do to overcome those. I feel like
Oh,
I'm
I
really
think
good at
that would be good. I think that would be really good. Yeah. The first topic I want to touch on is pricing. So I mentioned earlier, you can't pick a number out of thin air, and you cannot pick your price based on what someone down the street charges, right? Because you're not them. Your cost aren't their cost. Your experience isn't their experience. And honestly, half of the people you're comparing yourself to aren't even charging correctly. So you're matching the wrong example. What you charge needs to come from real numbers. So your cost of goods, your time, your skill level, your business expenses, taxes, and the income you actually want to take home. So I know it feels easier to just say, okay, well, she's at 120, so I'm going to be competitive and I'm going to do 115. But that's not actual like CEO energy. CEO energy is, what does my business actually need to thrive? Right.
Right. I
So,
will say too, I see a lot of people say that number one, you don't need to look at your competitors' pricing. I disagree with that. You do, but it's not to compare your pricing. I want you to make sure you're not too low because what I
right.
constantly see is people trying to set their prices because they're shopping out of their own pocket. So when you first start your business, are you financially in a fabulous place? Probably not. Like you're shifting careers, you're starting something new, you may not have income for a couple months. So I don't want you to say, "Oh, what would I spend on my service?" I want you to check the local pricing to make sure that you're not too low. However, you're not checking to make sure that you match. If I'm a client and your service is cheaper, number one, I'm probably not interested in coming because I'm like, oh, she must be new. But number two, would I notice a $5 or $10 difference taken from my bank account randomly on a Tuesday midday? Probably not. So just you thinking that, oh, I'm going to be $5 lower and people are going to shop around for the lowest price and pick me, that's not what most consumers' mindset is. And the people who are doing that are not going to be returning clients. They are bargain shoppers that we call it like spa hopping, salon hopping, chair hopping, bed hopping. They're just going to go on to the next person. They are coming in with the mindset that the price comes first. They don't care how fabulous the experience is, how fabulous your expertise is, how even how good of the results are. They just kind of want to stay very close-minded. I'm getting a facial, I'm getting my hair done, and I'm saving X amount from my last time. This sounds great. They do not care about the quality. I started in cosmetology, and not to be rude, but I see highlights all the time that are big, chunky in like early 2000s, and that's not necessarily the style the lived-in blonde look is, but they don't care. They're just like, I'm blonde. They don't care how it looks. They don't care about the quality, the
Right.
expertise. That is like a bargain shopper. And not that there's anything wrong with that. They're just trying to do something for themselves that fits within their budget. That's great. But I need you to start thinking of longevity in your business and building a foundation of clients that's going to last. And you're not going to build a lasting foundation by people who are just bargain shopping. So you should not have
Right.
bargain pricing in your mindset.
Right. So I want to jump on that too. So when it comes to pricing, I agree. Don't you want to not compare, like not compare or price match what your competitors are doing, but you just want to make sure you're not on the lower end, because if you start very low, it's going to be very hard for you to increase
Yeah.
to where, yeah, to where like you feel like, okay, I'm now at this level and I want to increase my prices, but it's going to be harder for you to do that, or it's going to take longer for you to do that. Like you do a like big jump in like prices, you may lose a lot of clients to where, which is fine if you lose your clients, because
It's
then
going to
that opens
happen.
you up. Yeah. And that opens you up for better, clientele that knows your value. But at that time, like you may feel like, oh, fuck, I'm losing so much money, or
Yeah.
like like then you're just gonna go into this mindset. So that's what I mean by harder. Not saying it's not impossible, right? Or that it's not possible to do, but it just makes it a little bit harder, or it just takes longer because you might just do it in small little increments, right? So when you first start out, yes, you want to make sure that you charge from like real numbers. Again, you want to take a look at what your cost of goods are, your business expenses, like your operating expenses, your time, your skill level, and of course, taxes. Please, guys, please don't forget about income
Please,
taxes.
yes. Oh my God. You have to plan for taxes. I've done so many mentor and coaching calls where they're big salons and like from an outside look watching on Instagram or something. I'm like, oh, they're doing fabulous. And then they book a call and I'm like, why are you here? And then they're like, oh, if I have to pay taxes this year, I may have to close. And I'm like, what? Like, why are
Yeah.
you not prioritizing that first? Or like as one of the first three things, when we were talking about loyal clients, most clients do not want to take the time to do the education to find a new person or to get settled and get to know a new person. They would much rather stick with you. So stop making business decisions when you're rooting them and being scared of losing clientele, and start making those decisions and be rooted in the fact that you're building and aligning yourself with clients who appreciate you, respect your time, and they understand that when you're upping your prices or you have a higher price point, they are getting something that they're not able to find anywhere else. There's all these like esthetician support groups, and I hate TikTok for estheticians. If y'all know some good estheticians on TikTok that you feel like give solid advice, comment them. I would love to check them out because what I see on my algorithm is just not good advice. It's pretty harmful advice. It's very closed-minded advice, or it's advice from somebody who's very young and maybe isn't a mom and has other responsibilities that they need to take care of. So it's just not good long-term advice. And I'm in my like mid 30s, and so I can really dig through advice and be like, but I see so many times where they say, my service is, for example, set at $200, so I make $200 an hour. That's not what you make an hour. We need to start separating it. How much does rent cost? How many clients do you need a week to make your weekly rent? How much products do you need to sell a week to make your weekly rent? How much does it cost you to keep your inventory, to keep your supply? Do you have to order your inventory in bulk? Some brands make you buy in quantities of 3 to 6. You can't just buy one. Do your services make you buy in bulk? A lot of my services have to be bought in bulk of 4, 8, sometimes even 48 treatments. You need to know that as well. So if you're going to buy that, how many treatments do you need to do in order to make that money back? And then also, how much are you actually paying yourself hourly? Because all of that's going to be deducted from what the cost of your service is. And then that is what your profit actually is. I want y'all to start thinking of it like that instead of just saying, oh, my service is $200, so I make $200 an hour. I'm doing better than most people. I've also seen people only profiting $30 a service and then thinking, well, I make $30 an hour. That's more than the average for my area. I'm doing pretty good, but they're not accounting for like all these other things, setting aside for taxes, rent, insurance. My booking system, I just got a new one and I just wasn't aware. I'm sure Jessica told me and it just didn't stick in my brain that they were going to charge me annually for a 10% discount instead of monthly. And it is a more expensive booking site. It's like I got a discount for packaging it per year, but it made it like a little bit over 250 a month. And so they took that as a lump sum. And I was like, whoa, what was that? Because it was like over $3,000, you know? But you have to account for those things and know what that is because that is coming out of how much you're charging for services. Can I pay for everything? Something I hate seeing, can I just say this? You should not be doing $90, 90-minute services.
I agree.
It drives me crazy. And those are the people who are so burnt out and they're not able to do anything else in their business to elevate it because they're not even able to pay themselves. So I want y'all to start thinking a little deeper about these things and paying attention to who you're consuming information from, especially I will say like on TikTok, because I just don't see a lot of good information. If you would not trade places with that person or that person is not currently in the same life chapter that you're in, maybe take everything they say with a grain of salt because I see a lot of misinformation specifically about pricing yourself and paying yourself an hour and what that looks like. So that's what this episode is about. I want y'all to really know what that means.
And then, like, about paying yourself, which we will do, we have it scheduled to where we're going to talk about like how to properly pay yourself and everything. Also, Haley and I, we live in Texas. So, Texas compared to like California or New York, it's just cheaper overall too, right? So, like, if you're looking also online at like different competitors, you want to also consider like the location that they're at, just because there's every state is different. There's going to be states that are a lot more expensive and there's going to be states that are a lot more cheaper, right? So you need to think of how much you personally need to live. So like I talk a lot about this with my clients when we talk about like having a reasonable salary, like what is your minimum to like live? Like what do you need to absolutely live? And then I talk about like okay, what are your wants? Like what do you want to have? Like do you want to go out to concerts? Do you want like vacationing? Those are wants, not needs. So then like we kind of come up with like a budget, you know, of like how much to pay yourself. So you need to consider all of that too when pricing your services. Um, And I don't want you guys to like take this information and be like, oh, well, I'm going to charge $1,000 for an hour facial, right? I know I'm like over exaggerating. Just think about exactly like what you need to take home and what your business actually needs to thrive.
Yeah, your price point is also going to determine the type of clientele that you attract.
Mhm.
So keep that in mind. When I first started my business, I talked about this on a previous episode. We were rationing $100 a week for groceries for a family of five, and I was breastfeeding. So, would I have been able to afford my services at the prices I started them at? No. However, that's what the prices needed to be to cover everything plus pay myself. Now I'm at a point where my prices are quite elevated, but I've also made sure to keep my prices all within the same little block. So that gives me freedom to do every service on a client because the price point is relatively always going to be the same, give or take $40, $50. So they are expecting the same thing every time. Yes, it is a higher price point. It is. I am more expensive than what's in my area or even in Dallas, but my clientele prefer that. They love that. They know they're getting something they can't get anywhere else. I really allocate a lot of money back into my business for client experience education, devices, the right products, the right treatments, everything like that. And that shows. So they're happy paying a higher price point because they know that it's money well spent. So don't be scared of that either.
Right. And it's also all about like the delivery and things. And like whenever you do your pricing or whenever you start, if you're starting out, you also need to be confident in your price. Because if you are not confident, clients, the customers, they're going to see that and they're going to be like, okay, like maybe she's not as experienced or whatever the
Yes,
case is.
it gives
And
new.
then yes. So then they're gonna like want to pivot somewhere else, right? So you want to make sure that you're very confident in your pricing. And again, just because one person's at like 120 doesn't mean that you have to be at 120 or like at 115 or whatever. I would use that and say, okay, well, what I do with like my bookkeeping services, every year, like clockwork, I take a look to see where pricing is, like the average price. And not just here in Texas because I'm a virtual tax firm. So I do like an average price. And then if I do tend to be a little bit on the lower end, to be honest with you, for like everything that I do. I'm like on the lower end, but I'm not the lowest. Starting out, I think I was one of the lowest. And it did show in the clientele that I brought in for sure. So I
Yes.
definitely do agree with what you said, Haley. But I use that, okay, well, this is the base. Like, this is what they like the average. So I know not to go below this. And then from there, I'm just like, will this specific number work for me? And then that's whenever I start kind of calculating all of my cost of goods. Well, I don't really have like cost of goods sold because I don't really resell things like retail, right? But I do have a lot of business expenses. So I take a look at my business expenses. I take a look at my skill level. I have employees now, so I have to factor that in. I also factor in taxes and, like if I need to buy like a new computer or whatever the case is, right? So like those are all business expenses that I kind of factor in. And I still make sure that I have enough to pay myself.
We have such high overhead. We are in
Yeah,
the business of really high overhead, and clients are not dumb. They know that. They know we need to rent a space to operate. They know we need insurance. Someone for me who does medical aesthetics, I need two types of insurances.
I'm a medical
They know.
director.
Yeah, and I have to pay a medical director as well to be able to do those treatments ethically and properly here in Texas under my license. I need to buy the product. I need to buy the services. I need to pay for a website. I need my assistant to help me because I'm so booked. They are aware that that overhead is there. So it is okay having an elevated price. When if I were to see if I was looking for a facial and I want to use somebody in my town as an example because I want to help her so bad. And I'm like, maybe she'll watch this. I think she has great potential. Her marketing is good. Her strategy needs help. I think that she's going to be a fabulous esthetician. She's pretty young. She's a lot younger than me. I think she's going to be great. I think she has the marketing down. She has the aesthetic look down. She seems very warm and friendly and just like makes you feel very comfortable. Like it all seems great, but her strategy is, oh, $100 off for new clients or only $100 for a first time client treatment. And I'm just like, You're gonna attract like the worst of the worst in our area because you're just getting bargain shoppers. And like you have such good potential. She's spent a lot of money on her room. She carries a lot of the same lines I do. They cost more. They're not the cheapest lines on the market. She does really good treatments. She customizes every single thing, but then she's limiting herself by doing like an hour and a half appointment for just $100 to try to get new clients in. And unfortunately, guys, they will not see the value. It'll be incredibly rare that they see the value. It'll be like, I don't, less than 10% of them see the value in return instead of trying to gain a genuine clientele that respects your price point because they know it's an investment well spent. The biggest things are stop charging based off your fear or competitor pricing. Base your prices off of the cost of goods, the time, and your expertise.
I'm just like, Haley, so I was going through like a lot of like whenever I had Giovanni, I guess it was hormones or something. I don't know what the heck it was, but I was breaking out a lot, like right in like my chin area. Haley did
Mhm.
a freaking virtual consultation with me. And like within 6 weeks, my face got clear. And then so like
Yeah.
now, like clockwork, I'm always like ordering from Haley because I was like, this is what she told me to do and I'm gonna do it.
I do continuing education all the time. I'm constantly in a course or a program with the brands I work with. I learn
Mhm.
about all the new things that come out. I order things all the time. You're like, what the heck was this charge? And I was like, oh, I was
Yeah.
like doing case studies trying to decide if I want to bring on something new or not. I was testing it on me and clients. I've just been doing it for so long. And so I can pretty much guarantee it's going to work if you're going to put in the work. So that is going to reflect in the price point a little bit. And then
Yeah.
also just being confident with your prices. Just to be very transparent, my average service price per customer is $300 to $400 every time they check out, and that's treatment and a few product refills. That is pretty on par for being near the Dallas area. So that's like pretty average in my area. That doesn't have to be the goal, by the way. I'm just giving you an example. I do still have clients that regularly check out and spend upwards of six, 800, sometimes $1,100 every month. In the beginning, I would like be like dripping sweat underneath giving them their total, but I couldn't be like, okay, Sarah, your total's like $862 today. Cause she's going to be like, well, what'd you do wrong? Like, why are you scared? I'd be like, okay, girl, here's your breakdown on the screen. Sometimes I don't even vocalize it. I just show them on the screen. Here's your service. Here's your loyalty program discount. This is your product breakdown. Here's the tax. Hit next, tap your card. It'll give you your options to sign. And then I just keep it pushing and they return back regularly. So, like, that is possible. You just have to be very confident. It's not every appointment, it's like a good handful of clients that spend that much every month or every other month. But I'm at a point now where I'm really happy with my price points. And I'm also really happy with my clients because they respect the price point, but it does take some time to weed through that. So just know it is possible, but it starts with your confidence and your mindset. And two, I have had some clients be like, oh, I noticed that this other place in Murphy does the same treatment, but they charge XYZ. And I'm like, okay. So I just give them breakdown. I'm like, that's the standard pricing from the brand themselves to do the brand protocol, which is just like the one size fits all protocol. I don't do protocols. I do a 100% customized treatment because I do a mini consult at every appointment. And I do have a consultation course where I talk about what that is. But I re-consult every client at every appointment to understand how the skin's changing, how their needs and wants are changing, what they have planned that weekend. Have they seen anything on my social media or my email marketing that I've talked about? And where are we comfortable at price point? Do we want to stay where we've been? Did you see something new you want to try? This is what that price point looks like. Does that work for you? This is what to expect with downtime or no downtime. This is what it's going to do for your skin. These are the changes you're going to see. Like, how does that sound? I'm totally redoing your treatment plan every time you come in. My price is a little bit elevated so that I can do more customization in your treatment. I'm not just laying out these four products and going, okay, step one, okay, step two,
Mm.
okay, step three. And when I explain that to my clients, they 100% see the value. They're like, oh my God. And so when I started noticing that clients were really receptive to that, I made sure to just talk about that in everybody's first appointment as part of the consultation and first treatment. This is how I do things. So you may be doing some self-research looking up to see what a DMK treatment is, what a biorepeal is, what a skin pin microneedling is. But please know that I'm going to walk you through it every time because I do not do the standard one size fits all protocol. And I'm going to give you multiple options at every appointment so we can kind of work through and customize with what's going to work best for you because this is Sarah's treatment. This is not going to be the same treatment Brittany gets. And when you vocalize it like that so confidently, they're like, oh, okay, like, yes, like,
She knows what she's
I feel
talking about, and she's the
that.
expert, and I'm going to go to her. And it is a lot about confidence. Think of like whenever I do also consultations, I am the expert and I confident and I know what I'm talking about and I have the experience to back it up. Remember that, guys. Like when you're doing your pricing or changing your pricing, whatever the case is, right? You want to make sure that you communicate it confidently. And also, I do feel like now there's been like a shift with clients to where they also want to slightly be a little more educated. I don't know if you guys have like noticed that or not, but
No, they definitely do because there's just so much content to consume on social media. They want to go look it up on social media themselves and get a bunch of different feedback. I think that's very real.
yeah. No, and just this morning too, I was taking a look because every December, it's like I do like a little either like a little team outing or we do dinners. And I wanted to do something this year to like a self-care, right? And for my employees. And I was taking a look at, you know, how they have like the head spas. I was
Oh,
taking a
yeah.
look at, yeah, at some. And then I saw a TikTok, and then what I did immediately is I didn't really look at the pricing. I looked at the reviews and I wanted to take a look at the reviews and I read their website and I looked at their experience and like what they do and like all of that stuff because also I'm not going to take my girls and then they're going to get like super tangly hair afterwards or something because they didn't like
Yes.
condition it or whatever the case is, you know?
Some
So,
Groupon activity.
no, seriously. And I was like, because I've gone to a head spa, like my hair is like naturally like frizzy and just all over the place. So like I have to like condition it. I have to put leave-in conditioner on it. And they did it. And whenever like they were brushing my hair out, it broke like a lot and it really damaged my hair. And that was my fault for not really doing research, So now I really definitely do the research to make sure that the person is educated and, good at their job and have good reviews and things like that. So make sure you also give your clients some level of education and you are known as like the expert, right? Because then clients will be more willing to be like, all right, let's do it. Let's go.
I always tell my mentees or the people I do coaching calls with, verbalizing will get you so far. Just making the
Mhm.
client aware will get you so far. But we're also going to talk on a little bit about menu building from me and a little bit on marketing because all of those things really go into your price point and who you're targeting. So with your menu, I do want to say a big issue I see as being the professional and what does work and what doesn't work is a more simplified menu will convert to clientele to booking to returning clients than a long drawn out menu. Am I a good example of this? No, I do have a very long menu because I customize. I specialize in combo therapy, which is where you get 1 to 3 treatments in one setting. So my menu is kind of large because a lot of my clients know what combo therapies they like and they will go on there and rebook it themselves. However, I could simplify that and just say, oh, combo therapy starting at $300 and it goes up from there based on what we decide. That would be a great way to simplify it. But since I am fully booked with a large returning clientele, my menu is way too long. When you're starting out, a simplified menu will get you further because it's not overwhelming to the consumer. It's not scary and it doesn't seem like a turnoff. I would always say prioritize signature services over one size fits all. And I don't mean call like I'm freckled skin. I wouldn't say the freckled skin signature because what the hell does that even mean? Like if I'm a consumer, I'm just like, well, I don't know. And I'm going to be messaging you and you're going to get that annoying message that says, oh, I want to book with you, but I want to know exactly what comes in this. I always say maybe have a minimalist and a maximalist service where it's a fully customized treatment based on your skin needs. Minimalist is 45 minutes, maximalist is 90 minutes. And you can do it like that and put in the description that we will be deciding exactly what steps are taken after we do consultation, and I will be walking you through everything. Same thing with like hydrofacial has a few different variations. Maybe just having hydrofacial starting at blank and we'll go from there. Or you can list the three and say hydrofacial starter, hydrofacial minimalist, hydrofacial maximalist, and you can say what those are. You need to think in terms of what's going to be easiest for the customer to understand. And I will say, do not make up names for your services that match your branding. I hate that. Like somebody I was looking at who was in my area that I was like, because I'm always looking, because I do kind of want to hire next year maybe. So I'm always watching. Somebody named all their services like the Hollywood facial, the Malibu facial, the LA facial. And then the descriptions didn't really tell you much of what the difference was, but the price was like tiered. And like the price it started all the way under $100 to all the way over $300. That is such a large jump that you're targeting too many styles of clientele with that.
Mhm.
You really need to niche down and make your services easier to understand. Say something simple like an acne treatment facial or a hydrofacial. Hydrofacial has big marketing, glacial has big marketing, lasers have big marketing. So it's okay to use those brand names in those services. But everything else, make it easy to understand, like a congestion reset facial or a pigmentation customized signature. It needs to be something that the client understands instead of having all these cutesy like, I don't know, the pink wicked facial, people are going to be like, okay. Like that
Mhm.
tells us a lot about your personality, but it doesn't tell me a lot about what I'm paying for. And I am more likely to go somewhere where I fully understand the service menu and what I'm signing myself up for, even though I know the provider is going to customize it after I come in. But simplifying your menu and focusing on signature services over one size fits all protocols is going to immediately elevate you against your competitor. I would say, especially in the beginning, something you should not do is combo therapy treatments. Get comfortable with your standard menu, and then as you gain a returning loyal clientele, start adding in combo therapies, which is where we'll take a hydrofacial and add an advanced peel to it that's not part of the hydrofacial brand. Or we'll do DMK and add hydrofacial to it. Or we'll do microneedling with DMK, or we'll do hydrofacial microneedling DMK. That's something you want to wait for once you get more established with returning clients. And then making sure you're verbalizing, oh, you're getting three treatments in one setting. They are really going to see the value in that and be more comfortable paying that higher price point. But wait to get there once you start gaining that returning clientele. And then I would also say, don't make your service menu be such a huge jump in pricing, because who are you
Mhm.
trying to advertise to? Like you're trying to advertise to a client who wants under 100, and then you're also trying to advertise all the way up to a client who wants over $300. It's just really unclear, and you're going to deter both ends, because the under $100 client's going to see the higher services and be like, oh my God. And then the over $300 client's going to see a $99 service or a $90 service and be like, oh, maybe this is not what I thought it was. So simplifying your menu and also having pricing that's kind of within one range that allows you flexibility to niche down the clientele you want and be comfortable sliding. Okay, I know we typically do this, but how about we up it a little bit and do this because it's only going to be about $45 more today. My clients pretty much always say yes. It's rare that they're like, let's wait for that for next time. And if they do say no, just say, okay, well, like we'll plan it for a future appointment and keep it pushing. Don't make it awkward, you know?
Yeah, also, I've personally seen too, and this is like me being like a consumer, like I've seen where people have like 7 versions of the same service. So you're legit confusing people. You're giving them also too many choices and confused clients, like they'll get overwhelmed and they're gonna be like, no, I'm just not gonna book. Yeah, you'll get some messages or some clients that will message you, but then most don't. Like if I get confused, I'm just like, I'm just gonna look somewhere else. So I your menu needs to be simple, clear, profitable. So I want you to take a look at what you currently have and just ask yourself, is this service profitable? You know, take and by that, like again, we you want to be able to calculate what your actual profit is for that service based off of like each client. Do you enjoy doing it is another one. Because if you hate doing it, why are you even offering it?
Remove it from your menu. I tell estheticians that all the time. They'll be like, well, I hate my signature because it's my cheapest thing. Also, that's super confusing. Your signature should be your most
Yeah.
expensive. So sometimes the naming is a little backwards too, and it's quite confusing. But if you hate doing it, remove it. I removed two services from my menu last month because I don't like doing them. My clients
Mhm.
aren't even utilizing them, and they are at a lower price point. I don't want to necessarily focus on gaining clientele who want to stay at that lower price point. I would rather hold out for like someone who's going to align with my current clientele a little better. So I took both of them off.
I recently actually took my one-on-one consultations off. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. The reason why I took them off is I was doing like my end of year review and I noticed not, yes, I get people that book it, but not a lot of people do book it. So I'm just like, why am I even offering that if it doesn't align for like my main goal for the business? So if you don't enjoy doing it, if you see it's not profitable, if you see also that it doesn't make sense for the client journey that you're creating, it doesn't make sense, right? So cut it. Don't offer it. Your business is going to be just fine without that service.
You also don't have to offer services just because other people in your area are offering
Mhm.
them and you have access to the same things. You don't need to base your menu off of your competitors either. Like somebody recently, this yesterday, asked in the local Facebook group for a certain treatment that I typically offer, but I don't currently have it because it's being reformulated. Somebody else down the road still has a back stock of it because she hasn't used all of hers, whereas I've used all of mine and we're waiting for the new formulation to come out. Somebody asked and she's like, hey, I have it, blah, blah, blah. But I don't necessarily want to get established with a new treatment brand just to compete with this other spa who still has a backup. I'm like, that seems like that was meant for her. I'm fully booked this month anyways. I'm looking forward to taking time off at the end of the month. Like let her have that. I was kind of at first being like, oh, maybe I need to take my friend's advice because she moved over to the treatment competitor and she told me to do it and she sent me the link. And I'm like, maybe I do need to make sure I get on that Monday morning. And then I sat and I was like, I don't have to jump on it just because somebody else still
Right.
has access to the same thing and now somebody's interested. That's not meant for me right now. So have that mindset too, because me rushing to open a new account with a new treatment competitor is like me working scared, me working panicked, and that's just
Mhm.
not the energy I want in my business.
Yeah, that and I'm glad that you brought that up because I've seen too, like with me working with beauty professionals and finances, like we talk about certain investments that they want to make in their business. And there was a time where like back to back, a lot of estheticians were wanting to do hydrofacials. And
Ugh.
I'm just like, okay, let's talk about it. Does your business need it? Can you afford it? Like, how much would you charge for each service? And what would be your cost to actually offer this? Right? Like, is
Does
it
it
going
make
to make
sense? Yeah.
sense? Yeah. Some of those, estheticians, it didn't make sense for them. So we're just like, I wouldn't recommend it. It just doesn't make sense for your business and it doesn't make sense or so for your clientele. Right. So just because something's like trending or popular doesn't mean that you need to jump on that bandwagon too.
Also, too, with hydrofacial, knowing because you know how much the machine costs, and they make you buy treatment packages, right? So the treatment package is five rough numbers, like 550 or 600 to $1,100, and that has roughly X amount of treatments in it.
Mhm.
Plus, if you're going to finance your machine, how many treatments at the price point you're going to set it at, minus how much it's going to cost you to keep your consumables, your $40,000 machine and you're going to charge $300, how many of those $300 services do you need to do? Plus, each treatment kit, I think, has like 12 treatments in it. So every 12, you're going to have to re up for $500 to $1,100. So are we talking that you're going to have to do 200 treatments in the first year to get it paid off? Are you capable of doing that? Are you currently booked like that? Does that $300 price point align with what your clients currently pay? Or do you just want this trendy service because somebody else in your area recently got it or the esthetician you look up to on social media recently got it? I want y'all to start thinking like that. And if it doesn't align for your business, but it's a goal, just work towards it. You don't have to pull the trigger on it right this second. You're not losing any business because you don't have it. And I think that's where the confusion is. They're like, I'm going to lose out on this business. Like for me, I was like, am I going to lose out on this woman's business? Because in my heart of hearts, I do think I'm a better provider than this other place that was like, oh, we have the same treatment. I don't need to act on that though, but you're not losing anything in the time being.
Right. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, Haley. We shouldn't, compare or just because somebody got it doesn't mean that we need to get it. And we need to make sure that it makes sense for us in our business. So I actually want to talk about marketing now, just really quickly.
Marketing in itself could be a whole episode. So we're just going to touch a little bit on it when it comes to beginning pricing and getting like your ideal client at that price point.
Right. And like starting out, right? So you don't need you don't need professional photos every day, first of all. Okay. I think Haley and I we talked about this in earlier episodes. Like I literally took my pictures with an iPhone in my living room with the like natural lighting and it worked. It works for me. You don't need the perfect branding when you're getting started. And you don't need to post like the 3 reels a day or whatever. But what you do need is consistency and clarity. So you want to
Oh,
be
that's what my
consistent.
notes say too. I was
Yes. Oh,
gonna
yay.
say you showing up consistently does not mean showing up constantly, but it does mean like for me, I try to show up twice a week with posts and I do pre-plan some things on my story. My story is less curated, it's just more on the spot, me talking like a FaceTime call. But showing up consistently is not constantly, but my advice would be is to make yourself a schedule. Maybe you do posts every Tuesday and Thursday. You're being consistent, but not constant.
So you want to be consistent, meaning like if you want to post 2 times a day or 2 times a week, you make sure you're posting two times a week, right? You want to be consistent in showing your work. And I'm working on this too currently is like I need to show my face. I don't show my face a lot. I feel like with my posts and my pictures and my branding currently, like, yeah, you'll see my face, but like by that, I mean, you're really great, Haley, at doing stories and like talking to the people. And I feel like me personally, I need to work on that too. So that's something that my goal for 2026 is to be a little more consistent in doing like stories and things like that, right? And also you want to be consistent in sharing educational content for your ideal client, content that your client cares about too.
I was going to say with that, with the education, who are you marketing towards? I think there's a lot of confusion on I'm marketing to the esthetician because that's who 90% of my following is, and that's what gets me the most likes and shares, versus I'm posting for my clients because I want to see my business scale. If you're someone like us who focuses on education for the esthetician, for the business owner, the woman entrepreneur, that is great. And that's what our separate scaling beautifully is for. However, freckled skin, when I'm on the freckled esthetician, I'm solely talking to my clients, even though I know 90% of my following is esthetician. Yes, I used to focus on esthetician shareable content. And my page was growing rapidly in followers, 1,000 people a week. I was getting 500 likes on every post, sometimes upwards of 1,000, 4,000, whatever. But I was not consistently booked. When I shift my education to be client based, I got fully booked with a wait list, and that meant more to me because it secured me financially than growing on social media.
I want to touch on clarity too, right? You want to be very clear with yourself on who you want to attract, services you are providing. Why should people choose you, right?
Some estheticians do want to be influencers, and that's great. That's not my journey. I don't want my DMs filled with estheticians asking for business help on my work page. That's for scaling beautifully. I don't want to have to dedicate a full day into answering questions about protocol and estheticians sending me pictures of their clients to give them advice on. If you want to do that, we will book a one-on-one call for me to sit down with you for an hour, hour and a half and go over all of those things. So I make sure to make that clear in my marketing in the posts that I put out. I'm specifically talking to clients all the time. Also, too, those don't get as much engagement or shares or likes or whatever, and that's fine. However, clients come in all the time with screenshots from something I've posted to ask me more questions about the product, the treatment, or just that education. That's taken me so much further and gotten me so much more like guaranteed referrals with new good clients coming from my current clients than anything trendy or esthetician related has ever gotten me. So just find that balance. And then like you said, clarity. My note said clarity over the aesthetic. So yes, your page needs to look good, it needs to look professional, but you need to be clarity first, aesthetic second. It's not just about the look. Most educated consumers can see right through that. Yeah, you spend a lot of money on photo shoots, but is the clarity there? Is the education there? Is the building the trust there? You need to be making content that builds trust. And so talking about things like how is your consultation process different? What are the things that we're going to go over? What do your results look like? What does your education look and sound like? Is it something that resonates with the clients? They're not going to know that until they see it on there. Talking about your client's journey. showing the reviews or just client feedback. I have a whole segment about love letters, which is my clients' like genuine, unprompted feedback. That builds awareness, which is going to turn into booking and which is going to get retention. So those are like the main things when it comes to marketing yourself at first. And I will say too that being not perfectly curated gets you further than the curated videos on the back end. Your page may not grow and get all these likes and all these comments like these other estheticians do. However, you will be booked and busy. If you, unless you're somebody who pays somebody to run your social media, if you are living on social media every day, you are not booked and busy with clientele. So just decide what resonates with you more. If that's your journey, that's fine.
Yeah, like again, like I mentioned earlier, this is for starting out or if you just feel like you've been stuck, right? Remember, so with Jessica, she actually sent an email like for one of an updates, right? One of the updates. And she also talked a little bit. She said 2026 is really going to force most businesses, and she's like, we're already seeing it to be more of the personal brand for first than the business. So whenever you talked about it doesn't have to be like perfect. That's kind of what came to my mind because I feel like people are kind of tired of the influencers, right?
Not
So
relatable.
they're not relatable anymore. And I'm like, I know
I
there's
don't
like some drama going on right now with
With
like,
Jacqueline, with Miss
yes,
Jacqueline. Yeah, and it
yes.
kind of like got me real good because I grew up watching her. I mean, I had a corporate
Mhm.
job for 4 years. Like, let me give you some transparency. I hated that corporate job so much. It was commission based. I was making really good money there because I was a top producer, but they did not treat me well. I would literally have her in my AirPod for like positive reinforcement while I was working. So like I love her, but yes, I don't watch her anymore because I don't care about your house that you spend
Right.
$1,200 to fill your drink fridge. I don't care that you bought two new luxury purses. Um,
Because it's
I
not relatable.
it's not. I want to know when you're having a bad mental health day. I want to sit down and do our makeup together. I want to see you do your skincare routine. I want to see you clean out your pantry. I want you to take me shopping at Target, Ulta, Sephora, all those things. I don't care to see your obnoxious luxury haul. And I think that translates in our business as well because I've even done coaching calls with higher end estheticians who are seemingly making a lot of money and they for some reason think posting luxury content is going to attract a luxury clientele, but it does not, and they struggle in business horribly on the back end. I was
Because
like, when I
then,
saw all that and I read all the
yeah.
comments, I even commented on it. My husband's like, why are you commenting? You never comment. And I was like, because I really hope she takes this feedback from people who are the same age as her and grew up
Mhm.
watching her. And everybody in there was like, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. And that's not necessarily my journey. I don't not like it because I don't have the means. I just don't care to watch it. I just
Yeah,
want to know about you. Tell us how it's been since you've closed your businesses down. Tell us what you're doing day to day. Take us to work out with you. How are things in your relationship? Like, I want to feel like we're just on FaceTime together. And I
right.
think that's what clientele want as well, because it makes them feel
It's
comfortable,
shifty.
especially in my industry. I'm dealing with the most vulnerable topic. If they can feel comfortable coming into me, that is going to take me further than like the esthetician who shows that she drives a Porsche every day. I
Right.
hate seeing like their clip starts, they're driving
Yeah.
a Porsche, their
No,
expensive
dude,
neighborhood.
yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah, no, and I mean, I money, like I talk and we work with money, so I know that's something that not a lot of people feel comfortable with talking about already as it
yeah,
is. So I'm just like I want to make sure that the people that want to work with me know that I'm also human. I'm a person. I'm right there with them, and like relatable. If I could do it, you could do it. Like there's nothing that I could do that you can't do. So make sure you kind of when you're marketing and when you're putting out content, guys, just kind of keep that in mind. You don't need everything figured out to start, right? You just need a strong foundation. Pricing that makes sense, a service menu that flows, marketing that's consistent. That's how you build a long lasting business, not by trying to do everything at once. So like if you're listening to this podcast and you're just like, "Oh, I want to start. I haven't started." Start, just do it. Just freaking do it. when Haley and I, we talked about doing this podcast and like, because this is another business that we have, right? It's like a
Yeah.
separate business that it's a partnership me and Haley have. She was like, "So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's start recording now." And I'm the type of person that likes to have like everything like completely planned out. And I was talking to my admin. I was actually telling Haley this earlier. I was talking to my admin, Crystal, she's my best friend. And I was like, "Girl, I am so outside of like my comfort zone, but like in a good way, because I know that if it was just up to me, it would take me like 6 months to start working on this podcast, right? But I'm just like, the sooner you do it, the better. You're going to regret it if you hold off, or if you procrastinate, or you might just end up talking yourself out of it, you know? Yeah, but honestly, that's all I have, Haley. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, that's pretty much it. But I did want to ask y'all, number one, what do you think? What do you think? I know, but what do you think the best time of year is to raise your prices if you're going to? Leave that in the comments. And then also, what do you think is the best way to inform your clients? Should it be a social media post? Yes or no? Because I bet you you're probably wrong about both. And we'll talk about
Yeah.
that in Patreon with the Patreon that goes with this
Yes.
episode.
All right, guys. So that's it for today. And if you're in your first year or you're rebuilding, don't put the pressure on yourself to be perfect, okay? Just focus on building clarity and confidence and just be consistent. I do hope that this episode just kind of helped you feel a little more grounded or more prepared, and but we are all done.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Scaling Beautifully. We hope today's conversation gave you clarity and confidence to keep building your beauty business the smart way. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you love today's topic, share it with another beauty pro who's ready to scale. Until next time, keep serving your clients with passion and running your business with purpose.
And if you're loving the podcast, we'd love for you to join our community beyond the audio. Head over to our YouTube channel where you can watch full video episodes, behind the scene content. And if you want to go even deeper, check out our Patreon. That's where we share bonus trainings, downloadable resources, and exclusive Q&As to help you scale beautifully. You'll find the links in the show notes. And we'll talk soon, guys. Bye.